for the managerial class. It's almost a form of elder abuse on a given day, is what it looks like. So, the way I look at this, and my approach in this primary will be the same as the general election. Do you share the same pro-American values that this country was founded on? Because we are in the middle of a war in this country. But it's not a war between black and white. It's not even really between traditional Democrat and Republican. It's deeper than that. It's between those of us who are pro-American, who love this country and our founding ideals, and a fringe minority in the United States who hates this country and what we stand for. That's the dividing line. And so I say, do you agree on those 1776 ideals, that you get to speak your mind as long as I get to in return? That you believe in merit over group quotas? That you believe in American exceptionalism over apologizing for who we are? If so, we're on the same team. You know, we disagree about the corporate tax rates. I like low tax rates across the board. Some other people might like higher rates. Those are, right now, details. Compared to the basic rules of the road. That's what's at stake. Even the way we conduct our elections, one thing I'll deliver for you as your next president is minimal standards for the way we run elections in this country. Single-day voting on election day as a national holiday. That can be unifying. A civic ritual that we go through on election day with paper ballots, government-issued voter ID to match the voter file, English as the sole language that appears on a ballot. We're a nation built on ideals, but we have to have a common language to communicate those ideals to each other. And many Democrats today are nominally against that, but there's nothing about being a Democrat that should make you opposed to these, what I believe are uniting ideals. And I think that's the kind of leader we're going to need. I'm in this to take our America First movement to the next level. But to do that, we now have to rediscover what America is. We need a president who stands for our national character, not by apologizing, not by compromising on our principles, but by actually being uncompromising about our principles. That's how I'm going to be able to take. And I give those who came before me a lot of credit, Donald Trump included, for planting the seeds. But now to take our movement to the next level, it's going to take somebody who's firmly rooted in the Constitution. And the Constitution doesn't come in partisan boundaries. So if you're part of that pro-American movement, we're on the same team. And my accountability, if you all make me your nominee, my accountability to you is to deliver you a landslide election in 2024. Sounds about as ridiculous for me to say today as it would have for Reagan in 79, December of 79. But I believe that's possible today, and it has to be. This can't be another 50.1 election. If this is another 50.1 election, I think we're skating on thin ice. I'm worried about where this country lands. A landslide minus some shenanigans, let's be honest about that, is still going to be a decisive victory. That's what we require. And one of our missing ingredients to do that as a party is we got to reach the next generation. Young Americans right now, they're lost. 60% of young people in this country say they would sooner give up their right to vote than to give up their access to TikTok. That's where we are right now. That's actually a fact right now. But it's not about blaming them. It's our failure to provide direction. As I said earlier, we got to define what we stand for. We got to be running to something. I mean, what fills that vacuum? Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, depression, anxiety, fentanyl, opioids, suicide. These are all symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning. And yes, half the job of the next U.S. president is policy. We'll secure that southern border. I can tell you exactly how we're going to solve the border crisis, exactly how we will deport anybody who's in this country illegally, return them to their country of origin. Clear plan of action to do it. Stand for our veterans. Be able to keep us out of World War III while actually protecting our own homeland. Grow this economy. I could lay all that out for you, but half the job of the next U.S. president is to revive that missing national character. See, when Reagan left office in January of 1989, of all the things he could have picked to say he was proud of in his last speech he gave, could have said he grew the economy, could have said we brought us to the near end of the Cold War. He didn't say any of that. He said he was proud of reviving a national character that we lacked when he took office in 81. That's what he said. When I leave office in January 2033 after 2 terms, that's what I want to tell you. We revived who we are as Americans. If we do that, then I am confident that our best days can still be ahead of us, black or white or even red or blue. I'll go to this gentleman since he doesn't have a chance, and I'll come back to you. Yeah.
So my name's Scott. I'm 20 years old. I agree. I learned the importance of civic responsibility, the importance of voting from my parents. I'm wondering why my parents didn't have to take a citizenship test to vote at the age of 25 or wait to 25. So why should I?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you. Forget the mechanics of it. So there's a lot of different ways to implement this idea. My view is that every high school senior who graduates from high school should have to pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass in order to become a voting citizen of this country. That's my belief. There's a lot of different ways to get there. But I think you got to know something about a country to care about that country. I think it's one of the things we're missing right now is civic education in this country. Young people, all of us, we don't value a country we just passively inherit. We value a country we have a stake in building. So somebody immigrates to this country legally, we tell them, you got to know something about this country if you're going to vote here. And that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Because otherwise, what are we? We're just a bunch of different looking higher mammals with different shades of melanin, 2 legs, walking some geographic space that we call a country, doing what our iPhones tell us to do on a given day. I mean, that's what the country looks like to me. And there's more to this life than the aimless passage of time. And I'll come back and tell you about my faith. That's what brings me to this journey as well. But as it relates to our civic responsibility, I think it's a good thing. This idea generated some controversy when I raised it. It's a 10-year-old girl in Iowa who read about that. Her name's Lena. She came to one of my events. She came out with a printed version of that civics test. 100 questions. 60% is a passing score. Most adults today would fail it. They've done it. They've tested it. Most Americans. Not immigrants have to pass it, but non-immigrants, most of them would fail it. She's 10 years old. She comes into one of my events. She has a handwritten note saying, and she was very, gave it from her perspective. I saw they were trying to bully you about this, and people try to bully me at school, but I wanted to tell you something, which is, I printed out the test, and I took it, and I scored 100 out of 100, and I'm 10 years old. And if I can do that at the age of 10, I hope other kids can do it when they graduate from high school, too. First of all, that gave me hope. And that's the civic spirit that I want to revive. So there's many roads to get there. Forget about the plumbing. That's the spirit that we need to revive in this country. And I don't blame young people for that. I mean, honestly, why do we have a 25% recruitment deficit in our U.S. military? It's because young people aren't stupid. They see the way we treat our veterans on the back end, and they say, why the heck would I want to serve that country on the front end? Young people don't want to serve a country they're taught to hate. So we need to bring that back around. Part of taking care of our veterans, which is why I'm the only candidate that's released comprehensive veterans policy for how we're going to do it, it actually isn't even just for our veterans, many of whom may not be with us in 5 or 10 years. It's for them, but it's also for the signal that we send to posterity, that we stand for those who have served this country. And so yes, that's I think a little bit different than the way I think traditional presidents right now are looking at playing whack-a-mole. I think we got to think on the timescales of history, or else we're not going to have a country left. If my kids graduate from high school before we get this right, I don't think we have a country left. That's what pulls me into this. That's what gives me my sense of urgency, and that's what gives me my purpose in some of the, yes, unconventional ideas. As you said, I want the youth vote. I want to draw every people into this. But if you care about somebody, you tell them the truth. If you care about yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. And I'm not telling people at all times what they want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what my true convictions are. And I think that's how we get this country back. Did you have a question, sir?
Last question.
Last question. We'll give you maybe the final word.
My name is Mark Kennedy. I'm a firefighter here. I'm a teacher at the college. And I recently traveled to India. I work on international scholarships and things like this. Of course, you were mentioning civic service, and bringing good talent or good people from other countries is what we want to do, although we protect our borders, bringing great people. So I brought an international student here and who has a question for you.
Okay. Good to see you. Good to see you.
I can hear you, and I'll repeat it to the group.
I feel very happy and lucky today to get a chance to have a conversation with you. Myself, Avilasha Datta, and I live in a northeastern state in India called Assam. So basically,
So I'll say a couple of things about this. Thank you for your question. I'm proud of you, young woman, for pursuing your passions.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. I keep it up. I'll say this. So, as someone running for president of the United States of America, my top duty is to ask, what advances the interests of the citizens of this country? And it turns out one of the things we haven't done is protect ourselves against illegal mass migration. That's where we got to start. Seal both borders. I would end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants who are in this country. It should not apply. I would end federal funding for sanctuary cities that are really using our taxpayer money to pay for the breakage of the rule of law. Okay, these are basic things we haven't done yet. Anybody who's in this country illegally, will be returned to their country of origin. We haven't done that properly in this country. That's where we have to set the table. And then I ask the question of, what immigration policy, when you set your immigration policy, I think this goes for all policy, foreign policy included. There's one question I ask. Just as a father, my obligation is to my 2 sons and to my family, period. Well, as your next president, my sole moral duty is to you, the citizens of this nation, not any other one. So what immigration policies would best advance the interests of the citizens who are already here? That's what we should be asking. Now, I want us to be a championship team. Championship teams recruit the best and brightest from wherever they can get them and make them part of the team. You got to be playing for the home team. But that's what we should want. So that means certain types of immigration we should embrace, which is people who are going to add value to the United States of America, swear allegiance to the United States of America, pledge allegiance to this flag and mean it, to be citizens of this nation. I'm against dual citizenship, actually. It's a very controversial position, but I don't think that you can have 2 allegiances. I think you got to have an allegiance to this country, but if you're going to come having an allegiance to this country, to make contributions to this country, to help us be that championship team, that's the kind of immigration policy we should favor, and less of asylum or chain migration, which is just because somebody's a relative or a family member. Less of that, more to ask, who's going to make contributions to this country? So that's the way I would look at it. And if you, through the legal process, want to come to the country, make contributions to the country, swear allegiance to the country, and actually we believe that makes life better for the people who are citizens already here, then that's the kind of a legal immigration policy we should favor after we have solved the illegal mass migration crisis, which is staring us in the face. So that's how I'm going to lead you as your president. I thank you for asking your question. Thank you very much. And we'll give you, I promise you the final word. I'll go briefly to wrap this up.
And it is about immigration, which is so complicated because it is about families and children and humans. And as you mentioned, refugees and asylum. It's very complicated.
Yep.
What do you think about the stunts that they have done where they have misled immigrants and told them there's jobs for you in Martha's Vineyard, get on the bus?
Well, I'll just tell you, overall, in bringing people into this country, it's been one big charade. I went to the southern border. I went to Eagle Pass, Texas. I've been to the northern border, too, by the way. If you take one little tidbit away, the real problem is actually coming to the northern border next. There have been 12 times more illegal crossings in the northern border this year than any other year in the last decade. Enough fentanyl in the northern border to kill 3 million Americans just in the last year. But part of this has been the intentional failure of policy of our own government. At the southern border, I witnessed firsthand when I was there, a father and his 12-year-old daughter cross. That father ended up having to go into the hospital on shock. The 12-year-old daughter, we asked her in Spanish afterwards, why'd you come here? She says, I came here in search of opportunity. The fact that that was allowed to happen, she's now separated from her father sitting under some bridge in Eagle Pass, Texas. That's not compassion to anybody, that's cruelty. And it's cruelty to the people here in the United States. That guy's taking a hospital bed that's in a hospital that's already overrun, and Americans can't get a hospital room in the same place. And I think that's the failure of many of the policies of the modern left, is in the name of compassion, they're actually perpetuating cruelty. That ends on my watch. This, too, is part of reviving our national character. We at times have to be strong enough to protect our kindness. Okay, we become, in the name of kindness, you don't want a wilting flower as your president. I won't be that. I don't know if those who've been watching me through this race, I don't think you got the sense that I am, but we have to be strong enough to stand for what's right, but still remember what we're protecting, which is our inner kindness as Americans. And so, yes, I will stand for the rule of law, because that breakage of the rule of law is hurting everybody all around. You know, legal Hispanic communities are some of the ones hurt most by mass illegal migration, because they're actually the one recruiting people who are already born into this country into their own gangs. That ends on my watch. And so we have to revive who we are as a nation. And if we get that done, and I alluded to this earlier, it's my faith that leads me to this journey. It teaches me that God puts each of us here for a purpose. That it's our moral duty to realize that purpose. That God works through us in different ways, but we're still equal because we're equal in the eyes of God, because God resides in each of us. That's what my faith teaches me. I think you read the 10 Commandments, there's one true God. Don't take his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath. Honor your parents. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't commit adultery. Don't kill. Don't covet. I come from a different faith. I'm from a Hindu background, but they're the same Judeo-Christian values this nation was founded on. And I think we don't need to apologize for those values. We need to revive those shared values to make faith and family and patriotism and hard work cool again for the next generation of Americans. That's the job of the next U.S. president, too. I take that seriously as my responsibility. To swear an oath to the Constitution that unites us and to keep it, including the First Amendment, which gives you freedom of speech, which gives you the ability to worship freely and practice your own religion. That's what we require in the next president. If we do, if we stand for those shared values, then we don't have to be anymore this nation in decline. We don't have to be at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. I think as a nation right now, we're really a little young, actually. Going through our own version of our adolescence, actually. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it makes sense again, actually. You go through your adolescence, you go through that identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. You do some stupid things. Most of us probably don't. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. I think we still can be. And this is the last time I think I could tell you this. I don't think I could tell you this in 4 years or in 8 years. But I can tell it to you today. I think we still can be a nation in our ascent. Maybe even the early stages of our ascent. Maybe we're not even at base camp. On our way still to that shining city on a hill. That country where we will look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them that this is the nation where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, or how long your last name is, in my kid's case, that you will get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your minds at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, that's what I'm asking you for today. With your help on January 15th. That's what we're going to revive to save our country. A guy like me isn't supposed to do this. The system isn't made for it. Outsider, 38 years old, coming to lead the next generation, challenging our own party when needed. The system isn't made for it, but that's okay. I don't report to them, and neither do you. This decision is up to you. Iowa goes first for a reason. Every one of your votes counts as the equivalent of 1 million people when you show up at that Iowa caucus. That's the effect it has on selecting the president. So I'm asking you to take 15 minutes of your time to save this country on January 15th, the date of that Iowa caucus. I'm asking you to tell 10 people who aren't in this room today, in this community, what we talked about. Bring them to. And if you all do your part, I promise you, my wife Apurva and I and our family, we will do ours to make sure, not in some fake politician way, but in a true way, make sure that our country's best days are actually still ahead of us. Thank you, guys. God bless you and your families. And God bless our United States of America. Thank you.
This is our moment. 17 days from now, caucusing for Vivek. If you will fill out one of these contact cards, we have Jesus and Todd in the room. They have cards and pens for you. If you're willing to be a precinct captain, we would love to have you. If you are inspired and willing to share this message with others in your precinct, check the product that we talked about. Thank you, everyone. We will win on January 15th.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. I just recently traveled to India and loved the place.
Thanks for doing as a firefighter and otherwise. Proud of you and
brother.
spread the message.
If anyone wants to join us and have a few more minutes and talking to Vivek, we're headed to the Bean Pot Coffee Shop in Farmington, Iowa. Anyone is welcome to join us. That event starts at 10:15 at the Bean Pot Coffee Shop in Farmington, Iowa.
Make sure.
How are you?
Good.
Comment, please.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely appreciate it.
I too was impressed. We're going to do our part.
Your help is going to make it happen.
Good job, sir.
Good to see. How you been?
I've been good.
Good to see you.
Haven't worn you out traveling on the road yet.
No. We're enjoying this.
Okay.
Oh, good to see you. Spread the message for January 15th. We're going to do our part. Thank you, Professor. Good to see you.
Thank you.
A local basketball player here.
He's a soccer player.
Oh, are you?
He's a basketball player with a soccer problem.
Got several questions we didn't get to. All I can pray is that when the results come in, are you going to have a way of feeling that it's accurate? What happened last election?
We were, as I said, our margin with young people who are with us, minus that's my job to deliver you.
When the numbers change overnight,
It's time to take our movement to the next level.
That's well said.
That's the answer. That's the answer. Don't fall for their trap.
That's well said.
Tell people in this community, do not fall for their trap.
Well said.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your question. Very thoughtful. All right. We'll head to our next event. Tell everybody where it is in case they want to.
Yeah, next one's in Van Buren County.
Farmington near the meat farm.
Yeah, we're planning. There's some pens in the table too.
Sorry. Thank you for coming. I hope it was good for you.